Welcome to another episode of Firm Foundations Podcast with your hosts CJ and Tony, and our producer Cookie on the side here. All right, be a good girl. Take two.
I thought that was a good break there.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Firm Foundations Podcast with your hosts CJ and Tony. Today we're going into chapter 5 and 6, hopefully, of Exodus. We'll see. Usually doesn't work out when we want to do multiple ones, but so it's still 1446. Pharaoh King Tutmos III is still on the throne. This is right around the time of his last major campaign. And if he thought reigning and ruling was difficult, if he thought conquering other nations was difficult, well, he has something else in store for him. Especially after he says what he says and does what he does, which we're going to look at. This event, this is the lead up to the event that breaks Egyptian power for a long time. Certainly for a few decades at least. As King Tutmos III will be ruling Egypt for 21 more years after this. And he will not be able to make any major gains in the area of conquest after this. We talked about the preliminaries of the background of all that in previous episodes. Y'all can go back and listen to those, watch those if you're not driving or working. But even though these seem like very simple passages where not much is going on except for a little bit of bickering back and forth between God and the prophet and the Pharaoh and the people, there's more at play here. There's individual and national psychologies at work. And we're going to see those unfold step by step. How does a nation deal with heartbreak? How does a nation deal with the sudden realization that everything that they thought was true about the world was indeed false? How does another nation deal with the fact that all their gods are false? Everything that they believed about their Pharaoh was false. I don't know for anybody else, but for me, if you're like me and you have a hard time understanding people in real time, and you like to go back and analyze things afterwards as if you were an imposter in a human body, like you're an alien or something, and you're trying to figure out the thing that is human, this is an interesting chapter for you. These two chapters. That's all I got for a intro. Let's see what happens.
It's almost like there's not a whole lot going on, but there's a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes and in between passages.
It's like what it must have been like when the continental drift was happening, and animals and people or whoever was on land that had a brain, they were just going about their daily lives like nothing else was happening, but there was huge tectonic shifts
Hmm.
in the making. And yeah,
Shall we?
we shall.
Afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus says the Lord of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." And Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, nor will I let Israel go." So they said, "The God of Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go 3 days' journey into the desert and sacrifice to our Lord God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." Then the king of Egypt said to them, "Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your labor." Um,
Hmm.
so we discussed earlier about uh, Moses and Aaron having access to Pharaoh,
Yeah,
and I was saying that you don't just get instant access to Pharaoh. Uh, you've got to go through channels
yeah,
to to get to that point. Uh, we said about in the military, you go to your sergeant, and if he doesn't have the answer, then you go to his sergeant, and you keep going up the ladder. Uh, which I guess in our case would be the president, would be the top guy, but we've never gone that far. But in a sense, you just don't see Pharaoh whenever you please.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially if you're a slave. So this just, in my mind, sticks out as another example or another support for the argument that Israel's slavery in Egypt was not the same kind of slavery as we experienced here in the US or the rest of the Western world. Slaves, as we mentioned, the, the Israeli slaves had their own flocks, their own animals, they had their own homes, um, and apparently they had access to the Pharaoh going in. And we're going to see how they interact with him. And it's quite astonishing if you think of them as regular modern Western idea of slaves. Uh, I can't imagine anyone um, tolerating their level of chutzpah, their brazenness um, when they come before the Pharaoh. So it was slightly different than what we um, conceptualize. And as we mentioned in the previous episode, um, the slave masters, the taskmasters appointed on them, the Hebrew points to a type of taxation, labor taxation, forced labor as a tribute to the government. And that was practiced, as we mentioned, not only in Egypt, but in Mesopotamia, in the Hittite Empire, and as far as China in this era, um, between, I want to say, the 1600s and 1000 before Christ. Uh, so this is not a new concept. It's not a new idea. It's just we've been blinded to it. That's why I keep harping on it because it's a curiosity. Um, but yeah, like you said, you don't just show up and say, "Hey, let me see my king." You know, go up to him and get, "Yo, dog, how you doing?" Like, nah, man, no. Um,
Discuss why do you take your people from their work? I had told you about, we've been discussing the movie, the Ten Commandments, as we were going through this. In the movie, Moses is still with the Egyptians at the time. He's still the prince, and he is building a city for his Pharaoh, and his brother is looking for the person that's supposed to save Israel. So they don't know who each other is. His brother doesn't know who Moses is really yet in the movie. Uh, and the reason how they got this mixed up in the movie, but Moses is building the city and he decides to give everybody a day off in the week. And his reason is to give them rest so that they're able to work, but which is basically what we do now.
Yeah.
You know, uh, and his brother's complaining that he did this, and Moses' reasoning was, well, if I give them a day of rest, then they've got their strength back because the the strong make many bricks, the weak make few, and the dead make none. So that was his reasoning behind, uh, and he proves it by showing that his king, his Pharaoh, hey, look, I just built this city for you. We did it quicker than it would have been done if we done it his way by making them work 7 days a week. So,
Yeah.
but now, uh, you know, in this, the Pharaoh is saying, "What is this? You're taking time away from these people making bricks to build my cities."
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be actually the point about that's going to be made clearer when we read through 14. But uh, if we go back to verse 2, because we talked about this earlier also, is that when he says, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice
Mm-hmm.
to let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, nor will I let Israel go." To us, moderns, we don't realize exactly what's going on there. Um, we kind of gloss over it and simply say, "Oh, see, he doesn't know the Lord. He's not a believer, so he doesn't obey." And that's not wrong, but there's something deeper going on. We, in other parts of the Bible, hear God accusing Israel of serving gods that neither they nor their ancestors knew, on occasion when they fall into idolatry, which happens more often than I'd care to contemplate. But Pharaoh is doing, it's like Pharaoh is saying the same thing. He's like, "I don't know your God. My ancestors never knew your God. We never worshipped him." And that is part of the divine council worldview. The idea that when God divided the nations finally at the Tower of Babel because of their ongoing continued disobedience and their violence, he appointed caretakers over them, angels, archangels, to teach them, bring them back, set them straight. But not only did these archangels fail, they actually declare themselves to be gods. And that's the origin of all the idols that all the other nations worship. So he's saying, your God is just another one of these idols. I don't know him. And he's not the God that's in charge of this city or this nation, because every city, every nation had a God appointed over them, had an archangel appointed over them that declared themselves to be gods, and it was territorial. So every territory is associated with a deity, and we see that throughout ancient uh, cultures, um, some cultures till this day. And so he's saying, your God's not part of my pantheon. I'm not going to listen to him. That's it. And it's also kind of like saying, why are you being disloyal to the gods of this land who have been so good to you? Now that I think about it. But when I originally read this, I was like, how come we can't be as loyal to our God as Pharaoh was? We turn our backs to him and obey other gods knowingly or unknowingly all the time. Um, just food for thought. But verse 3, um, if you notice, and you pointed this out earlier, that he says, please let us go 3 days' journey into the desert and sacrifice to our Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know, God never said that. It's not in the text prior. So where's this coming from? What's going on? And you mentioned that Moses might be manipulating the Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's quite possible, plausible, probable even. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that. But as the way I see it, it's all happening under the control of the Lord. He's directing events. So whether he told Moses to do it, to say this or not, or whether Moses is manipulating or not, it's going in the direction God is pushing it. And why would God have him say that to the Pharaoh? When we read think about it. You're in a foreign land, far away from your home, and you don't think you'll ever be able to go back. Heck, you're second, third generation Sicilian, Irish, or whatever in America, and or Iraqi or Pakistani or whatever, and you think you can't go back home. You've never been there. You weren't born there. You weren't raised there. So maybe even your attachment to it is failing. And all you want is to be part of this country that you were born and raised in or that you immigrated to. And you just want to assimilate. And as we're going to see, that's not going to fly by God.
No.
And but for God to be able to command the obedience and the attention of the Hebrew nation, he has to break their attachment to their host nation. And the first thing that has to go is this notion that the Pharaoh is a benevolent, fatherly figure, because that was how he was seen. He was seen as a divine king, the protector of the realm, the provider of food and stability, the maintainer of order. And that was a big thing in Egyptian religion, order versus chaos. And the Pharaoh's job was to maintain order. Um, he was called the good shepherd of his people, and a father to the orphan and the husband to the widow. And those are phrases that are later on used in the Bible itself for God. And it's a direct polemical attack against the ideology of Egypt. He's like, no, I'm the good shepherd, Jesus said. David says, no, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, meaning he provides me everything. In Ezekiel 34, 11 through 16, and Psalm 68, 5, we see that God is a father to the orphan and a husband to the widow. This God is trying to shatter all illusions concerning the Pharaoh and his benevolence. So the first thing he needs to do is get them to see his ugly side. Um, and that's what's coming out. Like, get them back to work. As we talked, who's there? Like, Aaron and Moses probably weren't the only ones that went up there. Probably the elders of Israel, the tribal elders, probably went with them as representatives of their tribes. And he's like, get back to work. Um, I'm not going to listen to you. And that's where it begins.
You know, all this could have been avoided if Pharaoh would have let him go for 3 days into the desert.
I know, right?
But
Hindsight
if you haven't read Exodus or know what happens there, you're going to look back at that verse 3 on chapter 5, and it's like all he had to do is let them go out for the 3 days, and all this stuff wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
um, Verse 5, and Pharaoh said, look, the people of the land are many now, and you make them rest from their labor. So the same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, you shall no longer give the people straw to make brick as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. And you shall lay on them the quota of bricks which they made before. You shall not reduce it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry out, saying, let us go and sacrifice to our God. Let more work be laid on the men, that they may labor in it, and let them not regard false words.
Hmm.
Uh, so, yeah, in the movie, this is a thing that happens in the movie that they're, and now between what I discussed earlier and now, uh, Moses has been kicked out of Egypt, and now he's come back, and he presents himself as a slave for some weird reason in the movie, that is, and he sees how they're treated, and he sees that they have to get their own hay and stubble. So they've got it really confused
Yeah.
between the movie and what the Bible says, but they do have it right as far as now that the Israelites have to go find their own straw to make the brick. And they're told not to decrease the number of bricks made, which I don't really get that as far as uh, they're how they're making them make more or the same amount of bricks, uh, which we're going to see they don't. But how are they making them make the same amount of bricks? I mean, what's the? It's not like the Israelites have a union saying we're not going to make as many bricks, but they don't make as many bricks. So how do the Egyptians force them to make more bricks?
Well, that's why you and I aren't corporate managers. Like, we're not CEOs. We're not middle management. Because I mean, Walmart does the same thing to its employees. Shout out to Walmart. Save nothing, live worse. I didn't say that, Lord. I apologize. But and we're gonna see it. It doesn't really work. They can't.
Mhm.
But the idea is, well, you got time to yap. You got time to collect your own stuff. I mean, just idle minds are the devil's playground, and the Pharaoh blames the devil for their dream of going out to worship their God.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the people of Israel. It wasn't their fault that Moses went up and did this to them. I mean,
They believed in them.
you just had the wrong spokesperson.
Moses tried to warn God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because this is a big surprise to God.
Yeah.
What? They're gonna make him. They're gonna make him make bricks without straw. Now what do I do?
You know, I kind of want to look that up though. I wonder if there is a archaeological evidence for the quality of bricks being diminished.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we read on, we're going to see that it doesn't say anything about the quality, but the number of bricks does go down.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking that maybe some, faked it to make it and just made the bricks without the straw or as much straw, and so maybe it crumbles easier. Maybe there's some kind of evidence of that in the record. I don't know. Just inquisitive minds. But yeah.
Do you have anything more to put into that before I continue, or?
No, just that. I mean, going back to the father figure and breaking that illusion, his response shows them that Israel is the only nation in Egypt that could not assimilate. They would not be given that opportunity. Um, and the phrase, and let them not regard false words. It's a throwback to the Garden of Eden. And the serpent, the adversary, the enemy of our souls, the one who comes to kill, steal, and destroy, he accused God of being a liar then. And now the Pharaoh is accusing Moses and God of being liars. And, well, he's setting Pharaoh up to be the snake in the garden. Yes.
Verse 10. And the taskmasters of the people and their officers went out and spoke to the people, saying, Thus says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go, get yourself straw where you can find it, yet none of your work will be reduced. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. And the taskmasters forced them to hurry, saying, Fulfill your work, your daily quota, as when there was straw. Also the officers of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and were asked, Why have you not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today as before? So, so now we see that they're not fulfilling their quota.
Yeah.
We see the taskmasters, which kind of surprises me. Both the taskmasters and the officers were beaten, which kind of surprised because the taskmasters are the Egyptians. And
no. Am I misunderstanding this?
we talked about this earlier. The officers are the Israelites.
Yeah.
Okay. The taskmasters are the Egyptians,
Yes.
but they're both beaten.
Really?
Um,
I only
right here it says, also the officers of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten. Okay, well, I I read it and I misread my own understanding there. Okay,
okay, because
so the officers are the ones that are beaten.
I
That makes
woke
more sense.
I woke up at 4 a.m., so my eyes are crossing at this point. So I thought maybe I was misreading. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and before I forget this, we had talked about this earlier, where I compared the officers, which were the Israelites that were over their people,
Yeah.
reminded me of uh, the tax collectors
Yeah.
that Israel had over their own people, and they were the worst people in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, they were they were not liked because they worked for the Romans,
Yeah.
and they also cheated people more, made them pay made them pay more taxes than what they were supposed to be paying,
Yeah.
so that they would make extra money. So they were hated among the Jews, and this is the same thing where the officers were hated, uh,
Yeah.
being over them because they were beating their own people. If they got beat, they're going to pass it down.
Doo-doo runs down
Yes, thank you.
downhill.
I was trying to think of a better way to put it. So that was good. Yes.
Yeah.
And it, they're not making their quota. The officers or the taskmasters get ticked off,
Yeah.
and as you said, it rolls downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 14 years, 1400 years between the two groups of people, but the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's always some traitors.
Well, I guess out of 3 or 4 million people, you're going to have a few a few
Yeah.
bad apples, right?
Yeah.
Who are going to look to have a better life, and not be
Oh, Lord, that reminds
mistreated.
me. The more the things change, the more they stay the same. Just like George Soros mucking up our political environment and our justice system to fit his warped view of the world. Uh, and when we say this, people accuse us of being anti-Semites. First of all, um, second of all, he go back. You can find his interview online on YouTube. This man helped the Nazis. He collaborated with the real Nazis, not the fake Nazis that you think everybody is today, but the real Nazis. He he sent fellow Jews to their death after stripping them of all their wealth and all their dignity. Um, traitors are always amongst us, unfortunately. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but that just triggered.
Triggered something there, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, well, we were talking about traitors. Uh, you know, the officers being the same as the tax collectors.
if you don't want traitors to rule over you today, when you go to the ballot box this year, right? It's this year, right?
Well, for the
For, um,
Senate Senate race and
yeah,
all them people, yeah.
and there's some local races.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go and you're voting for the DA or the um, whatever other judicial maybe a local judge in some places. Make sure that they're not getting money from George Soros and the Open Society Foundation that he founded to really has nothing to do with an open society, but um, the victimization of the everyday man. If you don't want criminals out on your streets terrorizing you, your spouse, your children, your friends, vote for the other person that's not getting money from billionaires like George Soros. I mean, not that there's thing wrong with billionaires in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my point. I'm not a socialist,
That's what they do with the money.
but especially this cohort. Um, I don't know. Maybe this will come out by then, and it'll be a timely warning.
um, where are we? Verse 15. Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying, "Why are you dealing thus with your servants? There is no straw given to your servants. And they say to us, 'Make brick.' And indeed your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people." That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
But he said, "You are idle, idle. Therefore you say, 'Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord.' Therefore go now and work, for no straw shall be given you, yet you shall deliver the quota of bricks." And the officers of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, "You shall not reduce any bricks from your daily quota." Yeah,
Mhm.
that's. I mean, they're speaking to Pharaoh, and they bring this uh, accusation that it's your fault.
Yeah. Tell me a slave talks to their slave master like that.
Uh
Go
huh.
ahead. Go ahead. But it's slavery under a different name. It's the same kind of, well, it's a similar kind of slavery when we say paying 50% of your income in taxes no matter how much you make is a form of slavery. It's a little more serious than that kind of slavery, but it's still a degree or two north of
Mm-hmm.
modern slavery, the way we understand it. But if you notice, they're coming to the Pharaoh saying, "These guys that you appointed over us is doing this to us." It's like they're saying, "Say it isn't so." Like, I don't believe you did this. This can't be you. You're the fatherly figure. You're the provider, and we're doing Pharaoh's work. Um, it doesn't, like, these guys that you appointed over us. They're the bad guys, but it's your fault because you trusted them. But we get it. It's that vibe. They don't want to believe that the Pharaoh is the bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
and she's pretty naive. But here we see them in the first stage of grief. Like, their whole world is shaking now. They're everything they thought was true is going to be proven to be a lie, and they're in denial. First stage of grief. Any other way? I don't know of any other way to slice it and dice it.
Kind of. I won't say where I worked at, but I used to work for a distribution center,
Hmm.
and
Did
you
they
know,
wear blue?
did and did several jobs in there. Uh, my main job was being a forklift driver, but I did do other jobs when they were falling short. And when you're trained to order fill, and you take boxes or whatever it is, and you put it on a conveyor belt system, they show you the correct way to do it, the safe way to do it, so you don't injure your back. And it takes, you know, however long to safely pick up a box, because let's face it, a box of uh, shampoo is much lighter compared to a box of antifreeze.
Mm.
Okay. And the way you pick it up, set it down, you've got turning motions. Here's the product, there's the conveyor belt. So you're having to do this. Now, in order to do it safely, it would take a certain amount of time to do it. But in order to make production, that's a whole different story.
Yep.
You're not, because you're supposed to face the product and pick it up with your, you don't bend over with your back. You stand, you bend down with your knees and
Yep.
all that blah, blah, blah. It's impossible
Yep.
in order to do that. So it's, in a way, well, how are we supposed to make production if you've made us do it safely, but yet we can't do it safely because we have to make production?
Yeah. And then if you have an injury, it's your fault.
Yes,
Let's pull the tape. See, you didn't follow the rules.
exactly. So
no workman come for you. No, nothing.
So, and as you said, the way the things change have not changed. They stay the same.
Yeah.
So if you want to work at a good distribution center, just know what you might be getting into.
Another place might make you pee in a bottle while you're delivering stuff. I don't know. I just heard stuff.
Verse 20. Then as they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moses and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, let the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us. And now they're angry.
Yep. Step 2, phase 2 of grief.
And I know Moses doesn't know this yet. I know because I've read the story. They don't know what God is fixing to do.
No.
And they would not be complaining. Yes, we would do the same thing if we were in their shoes or their sandals, whatever they wore back then. And yes, we would be angry at our foreman, Moses, because he's not working for us. He's working against us, it seems like to me. He's putting us in a very difficult situation.
Yeah. Makes me wonder the merits of democracy. Because when it becomes, and that's what a democracy is, mob rule, you don't always get the best results. That's why our founding fathers gave us a republic with a strong-ish president and the separation of powers. And not to make this into a political speech, but there are plenty of people out there that do not understand why we have the system that we have, and this is a good example of it. A monarch is a pain. It can be good, but it's usually a pain. Mob rule democracy is rarely ever good. You need something in between, and that's called a republic. And that's what we got. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll jump back down into this page now.
So Moses returned to the Lord and said, here we go again. He didn't say that. Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all. So as I stated earlier, and you had pointed out, they're looking for a microwave finish.
Yeah.
And we had talked about how people are nowadays. They're not willing to wait for anything. Doesn't God still heal? Yes, he does. But in his own timing. It's not a microwave thing. It's not like, here, my big toe hurts, Lord. I need you to fix it right now. I don't want to wait. They don't understand how the Lord works and why he works in that way that he does. Could he just poof do everything? Yeah, he could. But there's a mixture of him wanting us to see how things work out when we are involved with his work.
Yeah.
You know, and people, it's sort of like in America today. Hey, if I can get a paycheck for free, why should I work? You know, that's not what God does. He allows us to be involved with his plan,
Yeah.
uh, and there's even a lot more to it than that. Um,
Yeah.
but I digress. Here we go with Moses whining again uh, because he
Yeah.
still doesn't understand.
Yeah. I mean, his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. It's true. And today's been um, a day of thought and contemplation, where we've even beyond this text we've talked about different issues like mental health and healing and uh, faith regarding making the storm listen
Mm-hmm.
and obey and stuff like that. And sometimes you need the storm. Sometimes the storm is there to bring much needed precipitation. Sometimes you need the storm to uproot that tree for whatever reason. Sometimes you need earthly destruction through natural means for one reason or another. And sometimes God tells you to do something despite of the danger, and there's a time to accept the storm. There's a time to command it to be quiet. Um, Jesus commanded the storm to be quiet once. I'm sure it stormed more often than that, though. Um, and I don't see Jesus saying that, doing that more than once in the New Testament. And why am I saying that? To the point, microwave generation. We want everything now. We want everything to be easy. We want everything to be without struggle. Sometimes sickness and mental illness, physical and mental illness, is brought on by demons. Sometimes it's our own choice. Like you said earlier, I went out into the freezing rain when it was 20 degrees outside without a coat on, not even long sleeves. No wonder I got pneumonia. Can't blame it on demons. You can't cast any demons out for the healing of that. And I don't know if it's right to expect the Lord to immediately heal me after I've done that stupid thing, which I know not to do. Um, Likewise, mentally, sometimes the anguish is caused by demonic torment. Sometimes it's just my selfishness or my lack of wisdom that brings on the torment. And I got to deal with it. I got to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to deal with it. I need to go and talk to somebody and help, have them give me a better perspective. Sometimes that person is a believer. Sometimes it's a professional that is a believer. Sometimes it's a professional that may or may not be a believer. We work with what we got. Sometimes, in the end, anything that is worth doing is hard, and anything that is hard may generally be worth doing. It might not be worth doing for you, but it's worth doing to somebody else. I don't know. Either way. Um, Jumping off my soapbox now. I keep getting on it today. I'm sorry, y'all. But I just. Do you hear Moses? He's Adam in the garden talking to God. This woman you have given me.
Blame shifting.
What does he say? Why you have brought this trouble on this people? Why is it you have sent me? Questioning God. And then,
And then accusing him.
neither have you delivered your people at all. Wah. Look, again, don't take this as disrespect. I love Moses. I respect him. I follow his teachings, his words, his commandments as closely as possible. But let's call a spade a spade. This is 2 weeks in a row now. He's acting like a child. He's talking like a child because he's experienced this trauma in the past, and that's bubbling up. So the Lord is also trying to break him out of that. Um, but here we go again. We're all cut from the same cloth. Israel, the nations, you and me. We're all clay. We're all just clay. And the Lord have mercy on us and help us through all of our issues.
So, I, I, I don't know if I was God, I'd probably just say, forget it. Just,
That's going to come up in a few chapters too. Like, well, more than a few chapters, but yeah,
it's his patience with us is just is overwhelming. How he, I mean, through up until this point of today, it
yeah,
just overwhelms me the
yeah,
patience that he has, and at the same time giving us grace and mercy.
yeah.
The combination is overwhelming to me. It's like, how could you tolerate such rebellion from us? And if I may use the word stupidity, um, and still love us enough. To
Yeah, one of my favorite verses. Hodul Adonai kitov ki leolam hasto. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his mercies endure forever. The word translated as mercies is loving kindness. And boy, is that true.
There's a song with that. It's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know who originally made the song. I listened to the uh, Vineyard music, and they've got that song. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I love Vineyard, Maranatha, some of the newer guys, but I love those old ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before we go on to chapter 6, um, if you wouldn't mind, if you're being blessed by this, if this is resonating with you at all, or if you want to bash our heads in, or if you think we're doing okay, but maybe there's something we're missing, either way, would you please comment? Uh, just take a few seconds. Uh, like, subscribe, share, all these things. First of all, it tells us Your comments tell us what we can improve, or encourages us whenever we think maybe, are we doing this for nothing? Um, so we appreciate your feedback. Um, we know that we're not perfect, that we don't know everything, and I know, right? Like, shocker. I My wife just reminded me that this morning. Um, who would have thunk it, right? But so we know that you have something that you can teach us. The scripture says that when we get together, we all have a psalm, a proverb, or a teaching that we can share with one another. Um, and we definitely are looking forward to hear what the Lord has given you. Um, but it also tells YouTube that there's something here, that people are enjoying it, that people are deriving some kind of benefit from it. So let me go ahead and put this in front of more people. And that's our goal, right? Um, as you notice, we don't have any sponsors. We're not hawking any merchandise. We're not even talking about our website. We're not asking for donations. First of all, we're not a uh, nonprofit. We're not a charity. We, you know, we don't accept donations. But so this isn't for money. This isn't for glory.
This is for the kingdom, straight out.
Amen. Like, we want to bless God and bless you, and be blessed by you and be blessed by God, and just bring the gospel and the knowledge of God and the full counsel of his word to the best of our ability to as many people as possible. Partner with us in prayer and in these simple actions. Doesn't cost you a dime. It'll only take a few seconds. Let's glorify God together.